Welcome everyone, this is Pine Leaf Needles, and you're listening to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO, and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey everybody.
And also, please welcome our guest for tonight, Bonnie from Shroudpalooza.
Hello, View.
Welcome, Bonnie, and we were going to start this by asking you how you got into Dungeons and Dragons and DDO in particular.
Woohoo! I've got two anecdotes. The first was I never really played tabletop as a kid, but my older brother was really the Dungeons and Dragons player in the family. And he gamed from his early teens pretty much until he got his driver's license, and then after that point it was all like cars and computers. But being the annoying little sister, I borrowed all of his stuff, and I would read his Dungeons and Dragons manuals and the modules, and I loved Expedition to the Barrier Peaks with the knights and the BB lasers and the suspicious bunny rabbit on a stump. And I even asked for copies of Deities and Demigods and the Monster Manual for my birthday one year to hook my brother up. But because I was 10 and the Kelpies in the artwork had bare boobs, my mom bought me the books, but she drew magic marker bikinis on everything. So, and these were first edition manuals. This is how far back it was. So I look back and I think a couple things. That's my mom. And the manuals. Oh, the humanity. This is first edition. All that lovely artwork. Magic marker bikinis. Now, decades passed, and I revisited Dungeons and Dragons when I played some RPG computer games by Black Ops Studios that were set in Forgotten Realms 2nd edition. The big game for me was Baldur's Gate: Shadows of Amn. I love that game. The Time of Troubles and the Ball Spawn. So I found out that some hardcore fans of that game got together and they figured out how the Infinity Engine platform that game used worked. And they learned out how to edit the game resources, and they were creating player modules to add to the game content. So I worked on a couple different projects that added stuff to the Baldur's Gate game series for fans, modules added on by fans for fans. So that got me to reading a whole bunch of 2nd edition and 3.5 edition guidebooks for Dungeons & Dragons again. So I think writing and modding for the Baldur's Gate game add-ons is probably the closest I've come to creating a campaign like you would as a dungeon master, or really developing a character for role play like you would as a player. So some of those things I did are available through pocketplaying.net, as well as other material by fans. But some of the things that I worked on were like banter packs and Keto NPC, which was an add-on joining a new joinable character that you could play with in addition to the other characters that come with Baldur's Gate. So that kind of brings me to Dungeons & Dragons Online, because I named my first character in Dungeons & Dragons Online Finch Bloomwiffler after one of the projects I worked on for Baldur's Gate stuff. Now, my Baldur's Gate character was a gnome cleric of Denier. She was a hero and a librarian. But
librarian?
Yes, a hero and a librarian. So I'd heard about Dungeons & Dragons Online in 2009 when it went free to play from a friend, and then I found out it was Eberron. So there were no clerics of Denier, and there were no gnomes. So that was out the window. So I wound up making Finch a halfling rogue of such outstanding quality that she died doing Korthos Slayers. So I kind of toiled her to level 3. Yes, it was horrible. It was a nightmare. It was a train wreck. There's no trains in Eberron, unless that's a lightning rail, maybe. I don't know. But she was on the lightning rail tracks, and she was getting repeatedly run over and dead. So at about level 3, I kind of gave up on that character, and I got some advice from people and rolled the second character, Zoisha, who is a Warforged sorcerer, or she was a Warforged sorcerer in her first life. And she's still my main number 1 character, 30-ish something reincarnations later. And that's how I got into DDO. Yeah, died doing Korthos Slayers. True story.
All right. Thank you very much. And how did you get involved in the DDO community?
Well, slowly. Back in the day, Turbine had some online web tools that never left beta called My DDO that you could use for blogging about DDO, amongst other things. There were little Turbine lotteries where you can win neat prizes. You could look up people and you could look up information about guilds and things like that. But the blogs are really how I got started using them. I started writing blogs periodically about my gameplay after I'd been playing for maybe a year. And my blog got spotlighted, so I made some friends across the community that way from other servers that I hadn't run into before. So I've been pretty low profile other than doing the sporadic blogs until last May. But then I saw that Lessa and Samus of the DDO Cocktail Hour were starting a static group on Arganesson called Summer Fling. And Grimord was a player in that group. And Grimord was one of the people I'd gotten to know through my DDO originally. So I thought it would be really fun to get to play with her and step out of my comfort zone, being on a different server and doing semi-permadeath rules. But they weren't really permadeath rules. They were more like you start naked and you only use the gear that you loot and you don't get to use stores and you don't get to use airship buffs. It was kind of like stripped back, everybody's poor and they like it kind of rules. And it was a different way of playing. It was kind of like refreshing and torturous and awesome to get to play those group roles over the summer. But because Cordovan was part of the group, he was streaming it on the DDO Stream Twitch channel. So I kind of got sucked into streaming that way. It was like, it was like a cult, yeah. Everybody was doing it. Everybody around me was doing it. They were streaming, so I succumbed to the peer pressure, and so I started doing a little streaming. And that's it. That's what I do.
All right, then. Then let's head into our game news for this week. Our big story is that applications are open for the 2015 DDO Players Council, and I presume that this works similar to the Locho Council. This is where they get a group of players to discuss the things that are upcoming and to test them out and to vet them so that Turbine is able to have good suggestions on what they do in there. And Leslie, you probably know more. I see what you mean about clones.
Yeah, it's because we're clones. It's
that's awesome.
Our time telling.
All right, Bonnie, do you know more about the council? I think you said you applied for them last year or something like that. I
applied for them last year. I'm not on the council. I didn't make it into the council, but I know people who did.
All right.
And it does, from what they do, it sounds very similar. I think the Lord of the Rings Online Council was the inspiration for the DDO Player Council, so I'm sure they have very similar structures, and that they do all those things that you described.
Right. And probably the most important thing to know is that you will not be eligible for this council if you are a member of a reporter, a journalist, on any news podcast or anything like that, or if your name includes evergreen foliage.
I was about to say, does that exclude you guys because you're like reporter of the DDO News?
I think so. I posted on the forums today, hoping that Cordovan answered me to make sure. But yeah, I think we are ineligible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, especially in Lotra, I got the very impression that yes, that there were.
Yeah, any fan site, blog, podcast.
Yeah, they're even more strict.
They kind of lump that all into media, so yeah.
Right. All right, but if you are interested, we have links to the post for posting the application where we include FAQs, the application process, and hopefully a better explanation of what the Players Council is. And the other bit of news is that we have a DDO Chronicle issue 125.
In the community spotlight of the Chronicle this week, Axel 15810 is putting together several videos that provides information to new DDO players. I have not had a chance to check them out yet, but I'm sure they are great, wonderful information, and I will tell you about them next week after I watch them and tell you if they're good.
All right. Anything else interesting in this week's?
We have, let's see, the High Lords of Malachor on Sorlona are hosting their epic Chronoscope teaching raid on Saturdays. You can click to find out more information. So if you're on Sorlona and you want to find out how that raid works, they apparently are teaching new players.
They are very good. You'll be in good hands of Spice. Who does?
And Shroud Palooza, which we'll hear about more because we just so happen to have Bonnie on the show this week, was on Orion on Saturday.
Yes, I was.
And how'd that go?
It was awesome. I think all of the Shroud Palooza has been awesome. I mean, I got into Shroud Palooza as part of like the DDO players sharing their gameplay on the DDO Streams Twitch channel. And so I visit every Dungeons & Dragons Online server throughout the course of this Shroudpalooza tour, and I spend 3 hours running Shroud raids and having as much fun as humanly possible. So last weekend was Orion. It was the next to last Shroudpalooza visit. And this Saturday, January 24th, is the last Shroudpalooza of this tour. And I'm closing it out on the Lannis server, and it's going to be from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, what level are these?
I open it up. Well, the content in the Veil is technically, I think, base level 16 and 17. The raid is a level 17 raid, but I open it to like level 15 characters up to 28 to try to be as inclusive as possible.
Well, on Thelanis, I'm level 5 on Thelanis.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can pick up the quests at level 5. I think the lowest level you could be to pick up the quests maybe 12. I think you have to be at least 4 levels within the quest to be able to pick it up.
Well, I could always create an iconic character.
Because that's what I've been doing. Because I only had characters on 3 servers when I came up with this brilliant plan. Because I didn't want to just do something that was just me. You know, I wanted to have a kaleidoscope of people from every server, and I wanted to have fun, and I wanted them to have fun, and I wanted to try to engage like the community to participate in something. But I only had characters on Cannith, my home server, and I had a character on Arganesson because of the fling stuff, and then I had a character on Thelanis for, I don't know, Fight Club reasons that I'm not going to talk about. But I had a character on Thelanis too. And so that left like 5 servers that I had to start a character on. So I rolled Iconics and started at level 15, did a little giant hold, did my flagging, and that kind of at least got me to a plenty high enough level to be doing the raids. I haven't always had the strongest character in the party. In fact, I've rarely had the strongest character in the party. That's been fun in itself. To kind of just go do the Shroud, not necessarily be prepared, and just have fun and try to meet a bunch of people who enjoy DDO like I do.
All right, then. Now, I noticed also in the fan site news that the episode 6 of the Damsels of DDO, that they had a special guest, someone called Bonnie Bew.
Oh my gosh, who is that? No, oh yeah, it's all coming back to me now.
She's like everywhere, I tell you.
I have been everywhere this past week. This past week was really busy. This was one of those weeks where I was like, what have I done? But yes, I was really lucky, and I got to visit the Damsels of DDO last week and hang out with them in Arganesson. It was fun. They're fun. They're fun ladies.
Yes, I saw their first episode, and things about being in engine rooms when ships explodes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So fun stuff like that.
They're my kind of players. I love it when things explode and everything goes pear-shaped. It's like, yay!
Also, be sure to check out DDO Cast episode 366, which is their latest episode. They take a look at multi-classing. And it was a really good episode. I listened to it today, as a matter of fact.
And did it want you to jump out there and create a character with as many classes as possible?
No, not really. I think I'll stick to just splashing in my rogue on about everything I do. So, and that's really about it for the Chronicle this week.
Well, I do notice that if you want to look at a obscured moonshot, because we got smoke coming out of a burning ballista here, covering it up. You can look at their screenshot of the week.
Well, yeah, I guess we have had a lot of moonshots here lately on our screenshot of the week, haven't we?
Yeah, so therefore it looks like the Chronicle has decided to follow suit and have a moonshot also, but an obscured moonshot. All right, then let's go into our store sales, please. Anything on sale this week?
Free sample of the week through January 22nd is the Omnispell Dust. You get 50 of those if you use coupon code CAST, CAST 16. Once again, CAST 16, 1 per account. So choose wisely. 20% off arguments and jeweler's toolkits, the Mirab Glamoring cosmetic armors, cosmetics hats, helms, and headwear. All in the store at 20% off this week.
All right. And Bonnie, how big are you on cosmetics?
I am super big on cosmetics. I usually like to have a cosmetic preferred look. There's certain things that I have used Mirrors of Glamoring for. And it was funny that when they came out, my guildies knew exactly what the first armor was that I was going to use a Mirror of Glamoring on. And that was the Desecrated Leathers out of the Desecrated Temple of Vol quest in Necro 4. It's always been my favorite armor, but it hasn't always been the armor that I want to wear. So being able to make a cosmetic version of it was a dream come true.
Ah. I was wondering, do you know if DDO is going to spawn any cosmetic sites the way that Lotro had?
I don't know. What kind of cosmetic sites did Lotro have?
There's a site where, for example, every single week there will be a new cosmetic highlighted. When I say a complete outfit, and they will give you the rundown of what the pieces are required, where you have to get the pieces and stuff like that in order to be able to get this, in order to make this outfit.
Well, I think when Lotro you have a lot more dyes and such.
Yes, you do have a lot of those, yes.
Which we don't have in Dungeons & Dragons Online. So I think, most of it is going to the wiki and looking for screenshots of everything. And being like, I like the way that armor looks. I like the way that helmet looks. I'm going to use a Mirror of Glamoring on it. Because it's pretty much you're choosing the pieces and stuff, and then of course the store has a couple glitter and glowy eyes and glamory things.
Right.
But it's mostly copying the gear you find in game, which is fun. It adds a lot more variety now that we have that option.
Yeah, well, that's what some of the cosmetic sites would often do is not just show you the special cosmetics that you could find there, but they'd also had a lot of them included pieces found in the game and using them for cosmetic reasons.
Ooh, it might be good if they spotlighted armor of the week, because there's some good random armors you can get. Like Lessa's wearing what I call the rainbow armor, where it's this big clunky brigandine that has just about every color of the scales that is possible in the spectrum of color. It's kind of interesting to look at.
Yes, in other words, the women all say that there are about 150 colors there, and the men all say they're about 2.
Yeah. But there's also some other nice armors like that you can see in screenshots in the loading screens and stuff of plate armors and things that look very nice. So there's a wide variety of random stuff that you can get in addition to the variety of stuff you can get as named items.
All right. So what's this last item then, Drac?
The limited time release through the 22nd, you can get 20% off, plus 6 stat tomes, plus 5 skill tomes, and plus 5 use magic device tomes through the 22nd in the store.
Wow.
UMD tomes? Why would there be special UMD tomes if they're already skill tomes?
Because skill tomes don't apply to use magic device. They're special.
Oh, yeah. That's why.
Because they're the one that people really, really want.
So they're more expensive for the UMD tomes.
I think they are. I haven't really checked per se, but I think they are a little more expensive. That would make sense to me, since they
otherwise you wouldn't need a separate
skills.
one.
Mm-hmm.
But is every class eligible to get UMD? I thought that was only a few select classes or something, maybe.
Certain classes don't have to spend 2 points to get
okay. All right.
So everybody can spend points, but for some classes it's cheaper.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I guess that's understood. So let's go into the site news, please. And unfortunately, our only site news this week is a screenshot of the week. And I don't see any moons in there, unless there's some moonstones scattered around this mess.
There could be. The screenshot this week was my rogue doing what she does best, and that is finding all the treasure and the booty. And she did. As you can see, she found a whole room full of gold and chest and all sorts of good stuff.
It looks like a tent.
It does kind of look like a tent, but it actually was a room, believe it or not.
All right.
They just apparently like curtains, I guess. I don't know. I didn't question their, choice. Yeah, their decorating choices. I just
okay. You tried to steal the curtains.
Yeah, I just tried to steal everything in the room. Other than that, but just being a rogue.
Is it decorating with gold? Isn't that a little bit 70s? A little bit 1378 or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's just the red curtains match the gold so well, I think. So.
All right. All right, then. Let's go into Bonnie, you have anything else to talk about Shroudapalooza, or did you already discuss everything there?
Well, I discussed a lot about Shroudapalooza. Yeah, I kind of went off like on the Shroudapalooza. But I can remind everybody that yes, I'm going to be playing a lot on Thelanis this week because this is Thelanis' week and they're the last stop and they're pretty groovy. So one thing I am going to be doing is Even Note, who's a player on Thelanis, and she also tries to do stuff with players helping players on that server. And we're going to be doing a Tower of Despair raid, which is a heroic level raid, but it's like level 20-ish. 19 or 20, and it doesn't get run as often right now, but one of the things that's on the roadmap to come out this year is more epic Shavrath content, and so this is in that storyline. It's kind of tied into the Veil of Twilight storyline too. They're like, coterminous planes or something. So we're going to be doing that Wednesday night on Thelanis, and I'm going to be trying to play with as many people as I can off and on throughout this week leading up to Shroudapalooza to try to get to know the Thelanis community. And then 2 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, this Saturday, January 24th, there will be Shroudapalooza, and we're going to try to fit in as many shrouds as possible. We may be doing a naked shroud. There's been talk in that direction where gear-free doing a shroud. So that should be a good time. But it also brings me to last week's show. You guys mentioned green steel, and you were wondering what was up with that. So I'm going to try to sum up really quickly the joy of green steel and why crazy people like me still do shrouds 500 shrouds later. And it's the quest and the raid of the Veil of Twilight Adventure Pack, which introduced green steel, they're base level 16 and 17. And you can also do quests in the raid in Shavrath or Devil's Assault on epic difficulty, which is level 18 to level 20 to 22 content, and receive ingredients that will help you craft and upgrade green steel weapons and items. You can pretty much make any type of green steel weapon except for hand wraps, and the weapons are a minimum level of 12. So that's really super low level for the quality of items that they are. You can make any type of slot item green steel except for rings and trinkets, and those are a minimum level of 11. So this makes green steel especially ubiquitous for anybody who is planning to do true or iconic reincarnations, because these items can be very powerful leveling gear in heroic levels. You can upgrade green steel to have up to 3 tiers of effects, and these have a very wide range of possible powers. There are hit point boost effects, there are spell point boosts, there are different types of damage bursts and damage guards. You can have spontaneous oozes, plurifacts, effects that help you regain spell points when you're hit in combat. There are clickies that give you different charges of abilities like haste, displacement, and raise dead. So this is why heroic green steel can be useful even in epic levels in the current game, because people find uses for twink gear like displacement clickies when they're level 28 from this level 11 item. The only tricky thing about green steel is it's been tainted by the evil of Shavrath. So you can't actually wear more than one item at a time. This doesn't apply to weapons. It's just the items that you can't wear more than one at a time. Because if you do, you experience a damage over time effect, and your gear will basically murder you. However, you can do a cleansing ritual. So if you do 20 runs of the Shroud, you can get an essence of cleansing and cleanse the taint of Shavrath off of your green steel item and start wearing multiple things as you're leveling up your heroic character. And you'll basically win DDO. That's pretty much why green steel is a joyous and wonderful thing.
All right.
There's a lot there to do.
Yeah.
What? And it sounds like though that they were talking about sentient weapons and their interaction with green steel.
No, what I've heard they're kind of trying to figure out if they can make those things work together.
Right.
Because with Epic Veil of Twilight comes the idea of epic green steel. Who knows what kind of form that's going to take? Is it going to mean you can add additional tiers of effects onto your existing items? Does it mean a completely different crafting system? Which I hope that is not the case. And then is sentient weapons going to be a tier that you can put on a weapon that's green steel? Which things are going to be available? Which things aren't? Will hand wraps ever get love? there's lots of questions out there that I think a lot of people are really curious about. But I dare say that green steel crafting at the heroic level is the greatest crafting system in the game. It is the most beloved for me. So I think there's a lot of expectation and high hopes and dreams tied into the potential for Epic Green Steel.
All right, then. Then let's head into our week in DDO. Draculetta, what have you been up to? And I hope you're not on mute.
I was on mute. I was the whole time, and apparently nobody heard me because of that silly mute button again. Okay, let's start over. My level 11 rogue ran 3 challenges with Lessa. Still trying to get all my trade-in stuff I need to get that ring I'm trying to get. We did on Cobalt Island, we did the Disruptor 3 times in a row.
Oh, how well are you able to do them now? Are you a master of challenges now?
You know, that one I did fairly well because she basically told me what to do the first time, and then we kind of had a game plan going in, and she went to one side, I went to the other side, I knew what I was supposed to do, and it worked out 3 times, so...
Oh, well, that's...
At
yes.
least,
if you want to know how Drac and I work together on... we die together,
well,
that's why we do together.
We'll have to try this one and see how well it works, but yeah, still not really digging the challenges that much, but I told Lessa this week it's okay when I run with her because she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you compare them to epic battles?
I would rather do these challenges.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that.
All right. And anyone here who's not familiar with Loto, don't worry, you don't want to know what epic battles are.
Yeah, exactly. My rogue, the same rogue, actually is still in the Sands of Manectrian. Still working on my Slayers and my Rares out there. I also ran only one of the quests this week, and that was the next tomb I had to do, and that was the Chamber of Kurush. That one I found a lot easier than the other one. The final boss was kind of tricky, and I still say Mummy Rot is of the devil. Yes. It's just horrible. My poor cleric, it just is like healing me constantly and removing disease from me, and I'm like, well, it's the mummy's fault, it's not mine.
You're pretty much going to get Mummy Rot and you go into sand.
Yeah.
I drink cure disease pots constantly to guard me, to try to prevent myself from getting them, but that goes through a lot of pots.
I thought about maybe buying some of those, and I didn't know if it would be worth it, because, like I said, it
only lasts like 20 seconds of protection.
I run with my, cleric hireling, so he or she, it depends which one I'm running with.
It's his job. That's union work.
Yep, they usually do a pretty good job of it. So there was just one time when, of course, we all know how hirelings are. They just refused to do what they were supposed to do, and I'm like, I'm dying over here. Why are you not taking this off of me?
Oh, yes,
and they're
typical.
Just standing there staring at me, and I'm like, seriously, remove this now. So had to, kind of boost him along a little bit, but after that it went pretty well. I really am enjoying the desert a lot, actually. I'm not sure why exactly. I think it's the most unique area I've been in so far, and I was reading about some of the stuff that drops out of the chest, and it sounds like there's some really good named loot in those chests.
There really is. There's some really good stuff for the level, and there are a few things that the epic versions are pretty sweet.
And I also hit 500 total favor.
Wow.
On that character, and that's the first time I've gotten 500 favor yet, so that was pretty exciting. And then, of course, my Ranger Rogue is level 10. Did some stuff with you. I'll let you talk about that, Pine Leaf, since that is what we did together.
All right, and that would have been my Artificer level 10, and we did 2 free agents items. We did Hiding in Plain Sight, and then we headed over to the Restless Isles to get things going. We didn't actually get, of course, we unlocked the first quest there, because we went through this thing. We're going underground and then above ground, over bridges from... What? That was the weirdest place.
It is. It can take forever to find those quests on the Restless Isles, but that is like one of my favorite places. I'm always lost.
Yeah,
That's
I can see why you're lost out there.
that's where one of my favorite raids is. So
Ah,
I always end up kind of going there every once in a while and getting some of that raid in. But it's an interesting location to wander around.
I'll have to agree with that. Certainly and next week then we'll actually be doing a quest in that area, so therefore
Which
we'll
one
see.
did you reach? Was it Slavers of the Shrieking Mines, or was it Bring Me the Head of Golafan?
Bring the head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, that's good to hear. It means we'll get killed in 5 seconds. No.
No. I think that's the easier one out of the two. Because
All right.
the other one the other quest is one of those lovely, you cannot kill these things. So only kill these
wonderful.
things, don't kill these things. So,
Oh,
so you
good.
have to kind of be strategic. And I think there might be a beholder in it too, in the other one.
wonderful.
Beholders.
So you're doing the one that's smooth sailing. No
Smooth
problem.
sailing. All right, that's good to hear. And on my level 3 barbarian, I did a huge number of quests within the harbor, protect Baldry's interest, which stop Hasdale's shipment, which is, of course, since the hiding in plain sight also relates to Hadzil, since it's the same. So I basically went back and did the quests that are I guess you could say, the preamble to hiding in plain sight.
And that's on your
then,
permadeath character, right?
Right, that's on the permadeath character. Okay. I did retrieve the stolen goods at hard. Then I did bringing the light, smuggler's warehouse, Garrison's missing pack, explosive situation, and then the miller's debt. So I did all those. So I'm hoping that next week I could finish up on the harbor and get into the main city after that. Though, of course, I may next week, if I remember to, may create a new character at a higher level. Maybe I could do a shroud if I could remember. But what did you do this week?
What did I do?
Yes.
Shroud.
How did we know you were going to say that?
Well, we already talked a little bit. I got to visit with the Damsels of DDO and Argo. We did the Stormhorns. We did 3 of the Stormhorns quests over that podcast. So I was hanging out with Mithri and Sabajade and Lessa. I visited Orion last week, and I did some questing there leading up to the Shroud Puza, but then I did Shroud Puza on Orion last Saturday. I true reincarnated one of my characters, Altonia, as a wizard. It is actually her last past life before she gets the completionist feat, which
The completionist feat.
The completionist feat, which means I've done at least one character life, leveling up to level 20 in each class that currently exists in Dungeons & Dragons Online.
Oh, that is insane.
I am insane.
Okay. And you'll finish that one just after they release the Warlock, right?
I'm hoping to hope that I finish before Warlock comes out. I'm a Pale Master. I'm trying Pale Master, and I don't really like it. I kind of hate it. So I'm level 9, but that's like a very small chunk of the whole life rainbow. So I'm hoping I get to 20 before and reincarnate again before Warlock comes out. Because when you're completionist, usually they give you the new classes for free. My main character, Zoisha, that I mentioned earlier, she's got to completionist a couple years back, and the Artificer and the Druid classes came out after she reached completionist, and I got those gratis. Because what happens is when a new class is added, you stop being a completionist, you have to get that past life before you can claim the completionist feat again.
Right.
So they want to help you not be broken or that kind of thing. If your build depended on the completionist was part of that, and completionist is a nice feat. It's kind of, we whine sometimes that you have to actually spend a feat slot on that, but it gives you +2 to all your abilities and stuff. So it's kind of nice.
Ooh.
So
sometimes.
About how long did that take you?
Well, the first one I really crammed it in, like zerg. And I was friends with somebody who, it was their goal. It was his goal to get completionist. And I tagged along, so I got, to kind of take advantage of his determination. So I think we did the original ones back at about 6 months. There were less classes then. But but it was interesting too because there was a higher experience cap then, and we didn't have bravery bonuses. We didn't have tomes of learning and things like that people can take advantage of to make it easier.
Well, you're talking to someone who's only gotten up to level 10.
Well, I mean, it took me a couple months the first time I leveled, to get up to level 10 on my first character. But then once I kind of got to 20, I was ready to go. But my second one, I've taken over 2 years to do it. I took more time.
Okay.
Did other things, went out some, left the house. But that's not all I did. I also did some Epic Necro 4 on Cannith with some like the Blue Queen and some of her guildies, as well as a ton of Fire, Thunder Peaks, and Deathworm raids with my guild. And I started doing questing on Thelanis to prepare for this weekend's Shroudpalooza. And then I did even more Shrouds. And that was kind of my week. A lot of DDO.
A lot of DDO.
Oh, I might have also done I also did the Fling static group on Argo on Wednesday. So I did enough that I forgot things.
Okay. All right. And thank you for that. And a big thanks to Brittany for supporting us at the Players Alliance on Patreon. If you want to help DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on DDO Players News, or even be able to be a guest host with us. We do not have any iTunes reviews this week, but we would just love to have your support. As for featured comments, Perkysaurus left a comment on DDO Players News Episode 15, Vampiric Tieflings. I am really enjoying the new player side of things, given how long ago I started DDO. With so many TRs behind me, it was you talking about permadeath that got me thinking about new challenges and how to bring a fresh change of perspective on things. While I work on my triple completionist, I will certainly be giving PD a try to see how I can handle the lack of near limitless resources in past lives. Hope all your dice roll 20s and your loot is epic. But this is interesting because I think that before today's discussion, I would have been saying, and what is a TR? And what is it? And what are you talking about, completionist? So it's a good thing you mentioned that.
That's a lot of past lives. Whole lot of reincarnating.
That's craziness.
Level that character up to 20. It's because we can't stay. We just don't want to stay at the higher levels and do a bunch of raids. At least that's how it is for me. I get kind of bored, and I enjoyed the leveling process.
Well,
and
yes.
Some people just make new characters and they go through the process. I just reincarnate the same characters over and over instead.
All right. Yes, I'm notorious for creating new characters and doing it. There are jokes on the Locho side about let's say the number of alts I have. And DDO sometimes looks like that also when you look at my character sheets.
But I think it's all about different player styles and having fun.
Yeah. And I think even in pen and paper, I've always had a liking for lower levels above the higher levels. So therefore, that probably explains the reason why I haven't reached 20 yet on any characters. Now let's go into emails, and it looks like we have another one from Indrik. Drac, what does he say?
Well, he sent in another screenshot, actually, which I should be featuring this week on the screenshot of the week for next week. But he also says, I also want to take a second to make a comment about the Sands of Menectrian. Drac had mentioned that he has started to do some of the questing out there, and I just wanted to mention that the desert is one of my favorite areas. I really like the adventure area and enjoy making my way through the quest out there. The landscape is fun to make your way through, and it can be a source of large amount of experience, which I will agree with that. I'm finding that as well. It also has a large number of named items, such as the Bloodstone, Ring of Spellstrong, Bow of Elements Air, Firestorm Greaves, Flint, just to name quite a few. Have fun out there, and if you really like traps, head into the Tomb of the Wizard King. And also Pineleaf might be interested to know that the Hand of the Tombs is an often sought of rune arm that drops in the treasure room of the Tomb of the Wizard King. Take care and enjoy the desert.
You know, after this description here and all this talk we've had, I'm beginning to wonder why am I doing all this? Because I was doing this challenge with trying to get all the classes to level 5 through permadeath rules and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, maybe I could actually try to see if I could level a character.
You want to be a completionist now, don't you?
Well, she threw down the gauntlet, I think.
I don't know. It's fun. If you like to level up characters, why not get attached to one and level that character up over and over? Oh, no, one thing I did leave out is, the first time you level up a character, you only need 1.9 million experience pieces. I like to call them experience pieces. They're good for the heart.
Yeah.
But the second, once you reincarnate your character, you have to earn a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
And then the next time you reincarnate a character, you have to earn even more experience. So from like the second reincarnation after, you have to get about 3.8 million experience, so twice as much to get to level 20 compared to that first character.
All right. But you're more powerful, right?
But you get past life feats that can make your character more powerful. The past life feats are usually things like, for barbarians, you get 10 extra hit points for each time you reincarnate up to 3 times. Some classes it's spell points you get. Some classes it's additional use magic device. Some it's additional DCs for different spells. So fighters it's plus to hit kind of stuff. So there's neat passive things, and there's also additional feat skills that you can choose to get. Like the wizard has a neat feat you can pick that gives you like 10 magic missile like zappy zaps that you can use. So I would get that one sometimes on a class and just go pew 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 through the dungeons. So it's fun stuff to check out, and it does make you more powerful. I think any kind of reincarnation, the passive feats, they're all designed to make your character much more powerful. Like my character Zoisha that I've done the most of it on, I just TR'd her to try out a new different kind of build, and she was on Korthos just starting out with like 30 PRR and 30-something armor class naked. And just from doing all the past lives and stuff, it can really add up.
Right.
It can be a game changer, but I think it depends on how what kind of challenges you want to set for yourself. Because it is, I think, more challenging sometimes to start a first life clean without the gear and run into a dungeon and see how you do on whatever build has struck your fancy at the time. And then there's another thing to just like power game it or something. There's so many different ways you can play this game. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still playing it 5 years down the road.
All right. Maybe that reminds me, I have a character that I've created and I'm hoping to use for the first time I go into the Temple of Elemental Evil.
I can't wait.
And what?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited whenever they add modules. The Haunted Halls of Evening Star was so much fun.
Ah, okay. So maybe that's the character I could develop later on into my completionist character.
Woohoo!
Ooh. All right. Now, if you'd like to contact us, you can email us at podcast@ddoplayers.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter. The Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, and you can follow our guest at Bonnie Bew. We have 3 live shows every single week on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. United States Eastern Time. On Mondays, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays, we have Locho Players News. And you can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to loot those treasure chests.